Welcome to Basic Money Talk. My name's Rich. This is the podcast about simple financial advice and everyday money matters. I'm going to keep these episodes short and sweet so you can get on with your day. Thanks again for joining me.
Sometimes we stress and too much we think. Life can be over before we...
Hey everyone, what's happening? This is Rich and I'm delivering the hits. I'm sorry. So tempted to do that on these intros sometimes just because it sounds like a typical DJ thing that would happen. But it's not. It's a serious podcast about money. Hey, thanks for joining me. My name is Rich. So glad you are here. I don't know where you are or what time of the day it is, but I hope you're having a good day and I hope things are going good. I hope your life is positive and you're healthy. What else can you ask for? Today, I want to talk about owning your own home. You should own a home, and I want to talk about that and tell you why. Even if you already own a home, this is a great thing to listen to reaffirm what you're doing, because sometimes we just forget how we even got into that place. If you don't have your own home, then this is a good exercise to go through. I want to really tell you why it's such a great idea. Owning a home is the easiest way to accumulate wealth, and that's been well documented. You'll hear that all the time. So let's talk about some of the steps about that, and some of the things I think that really make that hit home. Number one, you are going to get old. Whatever age you are, hopefully you'll be around a long time, and you're going to be old. Your housing costs are always going to increase. So if you rent, your rent is always going to increase, okay? If you have a home and you get a fixed rate mortgage, your house payment will always be the same for 30 years if you take a 30-year mortgage or 15 years, okay? That's one excellent reason to own your own home. Another excellent reason is that you are building wealth. So when you buy a home and you take out that mortgage and you make those payments every month, you're putting money towards the equity in your house. So you owe less, and as your home increases in value over time, you have more wealth based on your house. So that's the easiest way to build wealth over your lifetime. Another reason to own your own home is if you rent, one, your rent is always going to go up for the rest of your life. Number two, you have no control. You might be in a lease and it might be a year lease, and at any time, the owner of that property could sell the house or kick you out or raise your rent or change the rules, get crappy neighbors, stop taking care of the place. There's so many things out of your control if you rent. And those are things that matter. As you get older, you want to be comfortable, you want to enjoy your space, you want to be able to do what you want. But when you're renting an apartment, you're so limited. You can't make changes to your environment. You can't just throw paint on the walls whenever you feel like it. You can't just start adding things. Your landlord will get upset. I know this because I was a landlord for a while. And I'll tell you more about that story later. But those are just one of the other reasons to think about owning your own home. So let's say you buy a house today for $300,000 and you get a fixed rate mortgage. And let's say that mortgage payment is $2,300 a month. It's for 30 years. That's it. And you're always going to have that same payment. If the market interest rate changes over the time, you can refinance and you might save even more money. Someday, if you're in that house for 20, 30 years, the value of the house is probably going to triple. That's only really helpful if you're going to sell your house. So don't plan on that. If you buy a home, plan on it being the place you're going to live for a long time. Unless you decide to upgrade or downgrade, that's a whole other conversation. The hardest part about getting a home is coming up with the down payment. I know this so well. It was the hardest thing I did in my life. I don't care where you live in the United States, whatever your housing cost is relative to your income, it's just the hardest thing to come up with. You have to come up with 20% of the price of that house. So if it's $400,000, you have to come up with 20% of that, which is what, $80,000? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of cash. Who has that? Okay, unless you're really good about saving or it was gifted to you. So a lot of times you have to get a mortgage with 5% down or 3% down. There's also lots of programs if you're a veteran or a teacher, or all sorts of programs you need to check out if you're going through that process. If you only put something under 20% down, now you also have to pay PMI. So now you're getting a surcharge. That's called private mortgage insurance. This sucks. I paid it for a long time. It sucks, but you have no choice unless you come up with 20% to put in the house. Just accept it. If you pay private mortgage insurance, just know that someday it will go away. So let's say in 5 to 7 years, the house prices go up and you have more equity in the house because the value changed. You could write into the mortgager and say, you know what, I think you're safe now. There's 20% value on the house. I no longer need PMI, and they can drop that insurance. Or if you refinance and you owe less later on, you can also drop that insurance. So that's something to look into. So PMI, that's a big part of the equation. But the biggest thing is coming up with that down payment for a house. Other things to think about is when you buy a house is, can you take care of it? Are you handy? Are you able to fix things in the house? Because you don't want to have to pay someone every time you want to hang a shelf or change a light bulb or put in a new light fixture. That adds up really quick. Can you mow a lawn? Can you shovel snow? Are you physically able to do that? You might not be. So those are reasons to look at buying a condo or an apartment flat besides getting a home. Those are other things. But either way, whether it's a huge house you can afford, a small little house, the fixer-upper, or a nice condo, or a studio apartment, just buying that and putting money towards a loan is building wealth for you, okay, automatically. No matter what, you have to have a roof over your head, right? So you're going to live somewhere, and you have to put money towards that rent. Why not put it into your own pocket and your own wealth? Because if you rent, you're putting it into someone else's pocket. That's another huge reason to buy a home. When you rent, you're putting your money into someone else's wealth. The owner of that property has a loan. The owner of that property is collecting your money and putting it into their wealth because they own the property. Or maybe they're just getting income. So that's just the easiest way to think about why you should own your own home. And buying a home is not easy. It's probably one of the biggest things I ever did in my life. So glad I did. Not the most important thing, but definitely a huge thing. Saving that money, you really have to be disciplined. You have to learn how to control your money. You have to learn how to save. You have to learn how to cut expenses. So you have to start to learn how to actively manage your money. So actively managing your money is a really big thing that you need to get used to. You have to start saving for a down payment. All of a sudden, you have to start learning about credit scores and mortgage options and different types of mortgages, where you want to live, what are the bills. That's the other thing. Okay, maybe you can afford to buy a house. You have to look at the whole picture. Do you know what the bills are going to be? Do you know what the utilities are going to cost you, the water bill? Are you going to have to fix appliances every once in a while? Can you afford to fix the heater when it blows out, or the hot water heater? These are all things you have to learn as a homeowner. Some people like that and some people don't. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm going to travel around the world. I don't want to live in one place at a time. Maybe you're right. Maybe owning a home is not the best idea for you. But you better be good with your money, because just because you're not owning a property or a home, you still need to be saving for the future. Because guess what? Your living expenses are always going to increase no matter what. So if you don't want to own a home, someday you're going to be 45, 50 and say, you know what? I'm ready to settle down. Guess what? You're coming into the game late. You have to come up with a huge down payment, and buying a house is just that much more difficult. So I really think owning a home is probably one of the best things you can do for your financial well-being in your life. I really do. I hope you consider it. Come to our website, basicmoneydoc.com, and check out Actively Managing Your Money. We can help you learn how to control your money, save, Look at your expenses so that you can learn how to get that down payment, because that's a huge thing. Reach out if you have questions. There's tons of information out there. I know there is. I'll do another episode later on, probably about buying a home, what goes into it. But the biggest thing I wanted to get through on this podcast is why it's so important to own your own home. You're going to build wealth, not someone else's wealth, okay? Put money in your pocket and build wealth. Don't put money in your landlord's pocket or the property manager's pocket. Do that for yourself. You'll thank your future self someday. I know it. All right. I want the best for you. Everyone deserves that. I hope you have an awesome day. Thanks so much. Take it easy.